For 132 years, workers have celebrated May 1st as a day of international working class solidarity. It is a day to honor those who have fallen in the struggle for workers' rights. It is a day to renew our fight for a world free from exploitation and oppression. May Day was first celebrated, as we always say each year, in the United States. Mass demonstrations of workers demanding a shorter working day, the 8-hour day movement, clashed with people in the streets of Chicago in 1886. The red flag of the Paris Commune of 1871 was their banner. Later, the Socialist International in Europe adopted May 1st as an International Day of Workers' Solidarity, and it spread around the world. May Day is our day, unlike Labor Day in September, which treats labor like a commodity. May Day honors workers as a class, a conscience-fighting movement, a living creative force which has the power to change the world. We know that on May Day we celebrate our social and political achievements, and we renew our struggle for socialism and workers' power. It is fitting at this time that we remember those who helped to build the socialist and working class movement through a lifetime of dedication. We want to honor the lives of some outstanding individuals who passed away within the last year. Sister and comrade Carrie Lester was a wonderful Indigenous sister, union activist and comrade, a frequent participant at rebel films and essay forums. One of her last articles is published in the essay booklet, Canada 150. For 2 years, she bravely battled cancer, but was overcome by the disease in late February. We honor Carrie Lester for her selfless dedication to the struggle for Indigenous rights and social justice. Annette Gange, a leading member of Socialist Action USA in Rhode Island, passed away in February. Annette was in recovery program following major heart surgery. She was optimistic that she would resume building Socialist Action, but some unexpected complications set in that led to her untimely demise. Annette devoted her life to the socialist cause for the liberation of humanity. Brother James Laxer. It was a shock and very saddening to learn that James Laxer passed away in late February at age 76 while traveling in Europe. He was one of the most articulate and courteous figures of the English-Canadian left in the second half of the 20th century. Along with his father Bob Laxer and Mill Watkins, Jim was a co-founder in 1969 of the left nationalist waffle movement inside the New Democratic Party. Notwithstanding his economic nationalism, Jim Laxer was an anti-imperialist and international in his outlook. He marched for global peace with justice. He championed Quebec's right to self-determination in the shadow of the 1970 invocation of war measures act by Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. For nearly 50 years, Jim taught at York University. In 1981, he rejoined the NDP and briefly served as its federal research director. Alan Goldstein, a lifelong friend of the socialist movement, died in Toronto December 6, 2017 at the age of 88. He went to school at Arbor Collegiate and was a member of the Revolutionary Workers' Party in the 1940s. Debbie Wells was a member of the Revolutionary Marxist group in Toronto in the early 70s. She and Steve Moore co-authored an influential little book, The National Question in Canada, arguing that Canada is an imperialist state, not a colony of the United States. Debbie drifted away from the Trotskyist movement after the formation of the Revolutionary Workers' League in 1977. Around that time, she married and moved to Kingston. There she became an elementary school teacher and rose through the ranks of EFTO to become a genuine leader of teachers and up to Kingston Labour Council. We saw her at the Ontario Federation of Labour Conventions and sundry labour protests. Debbie subscribed to Socialist Action newspaper almost continuously over the past 2 decades. Marcel Franco was a city councillor in Rio de Janeiro and a militant in the Socialist and Liberty Party PSOL in Brazil. She was assassinated on March 14th. Andrew Pedro Gomes, the driver who accompanied Franco, was also the victim of the drive-by killing. Marcel was a frequent and vocal critic of police violence and military occupation of Rio de Janeiro. SA joins in solidarity with the PSOL in demanding a rigorous and independent inquiry into this cowardly assassination. Tonight we also honor the memory of countless other militants in Palestine, Kurdistan, Iran, Afghanistan, Egypt, Syria, Turkey, Haiti, Sri Lanka, Colombia, Philippines, South Africa, and many other countries who fell in struggle against imperialism and its client regimes. Please rise now and observe a moment of silence in honor of all the artists, worker militants, and socialists who have left us in the past year, as April the 28th is also the annual day of mourning for those who died due to injury on the job. We stand too for the victims of unsafe working conditions. Okay, now it's my pleasure to introduce our first guest speaker, who is certainly from out of town. And it's Sister Dirka Prout. Our first speaker is the co-chair of NDP Women's Council. She is a member of Socialist Caucus Steering Committee and was elected to the NDP Federal Executive as a candidate of the Socialist Caucus at the Ottawa. There you go. We broke through the ceiling, sister. She is a geotechnical engineer and former president of the London's West NDP. Let's have a rousing welcome for sister and comrade Dirka Prout.
Hey, brothers and sisters, thank you for the warm welcome. Today I'm going to talk maybe in a little bit of an academic sense, so please forgive me, but it's an issue that's been bothering me, and to some way I've experienced it myself, and it's about the status of Indigenous and racialized workers in Canada. So walking on a treadmill is pretty beneficial, I'm sure you'll all agree, but as a means of transportation, it gets you nowhere. So such is the case of Indigenous and racialized workers in Canada today. It's pretty warm. So lots of effort has been made, right, by these workers, but they're basically standing still. And that data is captured in the 2016 census that indicated that the population of Indigenous peoples has increased 4 times faster than that of non-Indigenous population. And that about 22% of Canadians are now racialized. But despite these significant demographic shifts, the income employment gaps remain persistent for these workers.
Shame.
Yeah, it is.
Shame.
So investments in education and anti-poverty measures and childcare are some of the things that I've identified as being things that we really need traction on to get these fellow Canadians into proper workplace integration. I mean, I have known the fact that the Indigenous population has been growing quite a bit for over a decade and a half. And why we let them continue to have substandard education is beyond me. So Indigenous workers are often exposed to pervasive racism, discrimination, and stereotyping. And shamefully, Canada has allowed the high school graduation rate of Indigenous youth aged 15 to 24 to be really low at 24%, whereas in the general population, it's 84%. Last week, I had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Joanne Henry. She's an Indigenous education officer with the Ontario Ministry of Education. And she is also a descendant of residential school survivors. And she explained to me about the fact that graduation rates of Indigenous youths are not because of stereotypes. It's not because they're lazy or they don't have ambition. They have lots of it. It's not just solely due to underfunding of unreserved schools. Numerous First Nation students, whether they live on the reserve or not, have to confront the intergenerational legacy of the residential school system, and they don't see themselves reflected. So there's work being done right now to change this school system and the type of education that Indigenous kids and general population receive in The foundation for a successful workplace integration for Indigenous youth really is solid education through the JK to 12, grade 12 level. And it also requires leadership, which is lacking from the federal and provincial governments, to enact the 7 calls to action developed by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So racialized workers, like Indigenous workers, also face multiple barriers to attaining and keeping employment or advancement in the workplace. The race, ethnicity, religion, first language, accent, name, country of origin, and even where you live could be a barrier. And the effect of these barriers are clearly seen in the income inequality data from the 2016 census. There's an income gap of 25% for Indigenous people. Compared to 2005, this is only a 2% decrease. For racialized people, it's around the same. And it's worse if you're a recent immigrant. In fact, one of the biggest barriers is that immigrants are struggling to overcome the dreaded Canadian experience requirement, even though they have made significant investments in additional education with little to no return. And often they have more education if they're professionals than the people who are born here. So troublingly, income levels for Indigenous and women are only 55% of non-Indigenous men. So things are exacerbated if you're female. Immigrant women fared the worst, with an income gap of around 59%. And the data from the sources that I consulted didn't talk about gender fluid communities, but based on my previous readings, it's not unusual for the pay packets of these workers to be low or lower than a heterosexual woman. So we also see a lot of poverty within the Indigenous people and with the racialized and non-racialized rates, at rates that are anywhere between 10% higher, and for racialized workers, it could be up to 21% higher. The lack of affordable, accessible, and high-quality childcare is often cited across the board as one of the most significant barriers for racialized and Indigenous workers, particularly women. So here's a quote I got from a study done in the Black Creek area of Toronto by a group called Access Alliance. And they said, "I have felt frustrated." This lady has been here for 7 years. She has been frustrated since being here. "I have 4 children. I've never found a place to leave them. And if I look for daycare, I would have a lot to pay." So I said, "No, I can't work because everything I earn, I'll have to pay to the daycare. It's not worth it." So given that a provincial election is looming and a federal election is around the corner, what should we be looking for in party platforms to aid Indigenous and racialized workers? Well, I say first, we have to have a proper Aboriginal strategy that makes significant investments in literacy, in education, in skills training, infrastructure, and affordable housing. Nothing less should be accepted. Provision of affordable and universal and accessible childcare and early childhood education will enable more female workers to really participate in the workplace. And you know, there is this saying that, hey, we can't provide childcare. I've seen some of the comments on Toronto Star about the NDP's childcare plan. And they're saying, well, if you can't afford to have children, don't have them. But listen, I really hate that. You know, I really do, because I mean, we as human beings, we're still part of nature, and nature always regenerates itself. We belong to the earth, and that's a natural process. And this process is being destroyed by the heartlessness of the capitalist system. Let's face it. You know, when you have young people who are, or not so young people who are working precarious employment, and they are making choices that, hey, I don't think I could ever own a house, far less start a family, you know, they're not even thinking about childcare. And this is not where we want our society to be. We don't want people to just be working drones and not interacting. The beautiful thing about what the NDP is planning with the childcare platform is that it's been done already. In Quebec, it's successful. And in fact, it paid back for itself. And any money will go back to making additional government investments. So I just want to wrap up and say that we also need free tuition for young workers so that they're not crushed by debt. Various anti-poverty measures have to be enacted along with higher minimum wage, worker education, workplace rights, profit sharing, and labor reforms that make it easier to unionize. And don't fall for any party that just says these things. They have to make a commitment. They have to implement it. They have to measure progress, and they have to back it up with funds. So then we can know they are serious. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sister. Revolutionary Cuba, now celebrating its 59th anniversary, remains a beacon to the oppressed everywhere. Cuba is a world leader in health and education and a giant of anti-imperialism, social justice, and equality. Today we honor the new president of Cuba, 57-year-old Miguel Diaz-Canel. The Cuban... Yes. He's not our Fidel, but I'm sure he'll do. The Cuban Consul General in Toronto, Chania Lopez Larac, is unable to be here tonight, but she sent a written message. It will be read by Socialist Action member Javier Pinado, who is also a member of QP 4400. Comrade?
Yeah, dear friends, it is with great honor that we address you on behalf of the Cuban workers and thank you for the opportunity to share this celebration with Canadian comrades. Although reasons to commemorate the International Labour Day might differ from one country to another, all share the relevance of the working class as protagonists of the development of societies. During these days, the preparation for the 21st Congress of the Workers' Central Union of Cuba is taking place, where workers and the Cuban people are playing the main role in updating our economic model with the supreme objective of consolidation our socialism. May Day parades traditionally become scenarios for the Cuban workers to stress our commitments to the revolution and our determination to defend our victories. Likewise, the next May 1st will become a forceful demonstration in the indestructible unity of the people with their party and their revolution. On this significant date, we reinforce the commitment of Cuban workers with the worldwide working class and labor unions. In solidarity, Consulate General of Cuba in Toronto.
Thank you, comrade. Viva Cuba!
Viva Cuba!
Viva Cuba!
Viva!
Okay, before we go to our next speaker, just a pause for the cause. Socialist Action hosts public forums and discussions, often at the Oisey Building, 252 Bloor Street West. But on May 11th and 12th, we will be across the street at Wordsworth College resident U of T at 321 Bloor Street West. That's May 11th, 12th. We are celebrating the 24th anniversary of Socialist Action by hosting an international educational conference. 2 days of excellent topics, world-class speakers from 5 countries, and hot discussions. So the theme is A World to Win. There will be 5 sessions. You can pay if you just want to come to some of the sessions, $5 per session, or pay $15 for a weekend pass. So it makes sense, get a weekend pass, you save $10. So get your ticket tonight and save $10. Don't forget, May 11 and 12, Woodward's resident, U of T, 321 Bloor Street West.
And I'm selling tickets if anybody wants them.
Here, here.
Okay. Our next speaker is Sister Rachel Friesen. She's the Canadian coordinator of the Christian Peacemaker team and is involved in the campaign to boycott Israeli apartheid. So please give a warm welcome to comrade and sister Rochelle.
Thank you. It is great to be here tonight. As said, I'm Rochelle Friesen. I'm the Canada coordinator for Christian Peacemaker teams. I'm also a Palestine solidarity activist, a huge BDS supporter, and I spent 5 years living in Israel. So as a room of leftists, I'm already making an assumption that most of us already support BDS. In the last few years, it has been great to see BDS move into the mainstream, and I believe that it is BDS that will help us bring about the liberation of Palestine. Yet today is about solidarity with workers. And it is important to remember and acknowledge the treatment of Palestinian workers under Israeli apartheid. And it is our responsibility to these Palestinian workers to acknowledge this, to remember this, to fight this as BDS supporters. Israel's apartheid and colonial system was created and maintained through capitalism. Their project to control as much land as possible, as well as determining how that land should be used, is foundational to the capitalist system, and it is this system that creates the exploited Palestinian worker. As Palestinians continue to be dispossessed from their land, their produce banned for export, and Israel continuing to dump sewage and waste on Palestinian land, the agricultural sector in Palestine has been destroyed, creating a mass of unemployed workers at the ready to be exploited. The occupation, combined with Western aid to the PA, which designates its money for security, 30% of the PA's budget, and not to agriculture, which is 1% of the budget, has created a financial crisis, sparking unemployment rates in the West Bank, never mind Gaza, to be 27 to 29%. Israel has managed to take advantage of this unemployment and allowing Palestinian workers to work in Israel, settlements, and in seam zone factories. However, it comes at a heavy price. For example, every morning at Bethlehem 300 checkpoint, hundreds of men gather at 3 a.m. to cross and enter Israel's workforce. They have been given work permits by Israel, yet while they are permitted to work, they must first cross through this checkpoint to make it to their job on time. Hundreds of men are processed through a cattle chute-like system. Turnstiles, x-ray machines, finger scans are a daily occurrence. For some of these workers, their employment isn't even insured once they cross to the other side. Israeli construction foremen gather on the other side, taking only a certain quota of workers. So for workers to ensure they have work or they make it to work on time, they must get through before everybody else, causing pushing and overcrowding. Last month, a Palestinian worker suffocated at Bethlehem 300 checkpoint. And these permits are based on security. If someone in a worker's family is known to have resisted Israel violently or non-violently, their permit can be denied. In 2015, Ida refugee camp in Bethlehem was rising up against Israel. Every day youth were clashing with soldiers and fighting in the streets. And in response, most of the men who had working permits suddenly had them revoked as a form of collective punishment for the entire camp. In addition, these permits come at a financial cost. Palestinians can pay up to $700 a month, a third of their salary, to pay middlemen in applying and maintaining these permits. Shame. The permit process is also enforced in these seam zone factories. Close to Tulkarem in the northern West Bank, along the apartheid wall, Israel has built factories where Palestinians can work, again, if they have a permit. These factories are attractive to Israeli business owners as they pay less than minimum wage, and they have working conditions that are illegal for Israeli citizens to work under. One such factory is the Geshuri Chemical Factory, which makes fertilizers, pesticides, and other chemicals. This factory was previously in Netanya in Israel, and then it was moved to the seam zone because the fumes and the pollution from the factory were impacting Israeli citizens. This pollution now affects Palestinians in the West Bank, except when the wind blows west. If the wind blows west, it would once again impact Israeli communities. So on those days, the factory shuts down the exhaust pipes. As a result, Tulkarem has the highest rates of cancer in the West Bank. The Palestinian-owned gas station across the street employs its workers on a 4-month basis for fear of him making his workers sick. And while the Israeli economy is driven by permitted Palestinian workers, there are also approximately 60,000 undocumented Palestinian workers that work in Israel and in settlements. These workers pass into Israel by crossing through one of the various gaps in the wall, navigating various routes where a foreman might pick them up and take them to a construction site. However, of course, on these routes, Israeli military helicopters, dogs, and soldiers will patrol, and getting caught can either result in a severe beating, time in prison, or being shot. Another way through is that some Israeli settlers have seen this as a money-making initiative, and for a price will drive Palestinian workers through the checkpoint. Once through, these Palestinians are often given the most dangerous jobs on a construction site. They have no protection. In 2013, a Palestinian worker died on a construction site near Tel Aviv. The Israeli foreman took the body and left it abandoned on a sidewalk for passerbys to find. When it would be found, there would be no proof as to where he was killed, how he was killed. After all, Israel considered him to be illegal. And the settlements also benefit from this. A few years ago, a friend of mine had just been released from prison for being part of the PFLP and couldn't find any employment. My friend started working in a settlement as an undocumented worker. He spent 2 weeks tiling for a settler. He then approached the settler and asked him for his payment, and the settler responded, get off the settlement before I call the military and say you're here illegally. So it is clear that Israeli apartheid, and that through this Israeli apartheid, Israel has created a reserve army of labor out of Palestinians. Palestinians are being warehoused to be Israel's disposable cheap labor. Therefore, as BDS activists, the stories of these workers are crucial for us to remember. Learning from South Africa, we know that unless the economic structure is changed, the apartheid system will merely replicate itself. BDS is crucial to the freedom of Palestine, and the call for BDS has actually come from these workers who know they will face consequences through the BDS system, because this call has come through civil society organizations and unions, Palestinian worker unions in that Gashari factory. Workers know their liberation is wrapped in national liberation. As people committed to the freedom of Palestine and freedom of Palestinian workers, we must continue to push for BDS, support BDS, and smash Israeli apartheid. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. And to follow up on that, on Saturday, May the 12th at 1:30 p.m., yes, I know we are in our own conference at that time, but maybe during our lunchtime, we can take a break and go to 180 Bloor Street West, the Israeli consulate, and join us to commemorate 70 years of Nakba as we stand in solidarity with the people of Gaza who are marching for their rights of return. In 1948, Zionist forces expelled 750,000 Palestinians from their homes to create the State of Israel. Palestinians commemorate this tragedy as the Nakba, the Palestinian catastrophe. So that's May the 12th at 1:30 p.m., 180 Bloor Street West. So one of our partners in the Toronto Venezuela Solidarity Coalition is the Louis Riel Bolivarian Circle. Please welcome his representative tonight, comrade and brother Jose Gonzalez, to bring greetings to this event.
Hello everyone.
Hello. Buenas noches.
What a beautiful day, eh? Among comrades to celebrate May Day,
Here, here.
a victory. And today is my turn to address to you on behalf of the Bolivarian Circle. And I want to congratulate all the effort that you have done with Latin American, the world, the international resistance you are giving to go ahead and change this miserable world.
Yes.
My name is Jose Gonzalez. And we are here, and you have been for a long time. I think this is the 32nd year of victories, right? Victories that you have done. And as you know, we are going through a very difficult time in Latin America, especially Venezuela. So, and we want to thank you again for your effort, for that resistance that is the main core of our fight. And remember that we are not alone. We are millions around, millions of millions. This is the era of people, the power of humanity. And the one that they say that they can do whatever they want, they are bloody around. We are the ones to take the power. And here, we are not in vain. We have come a long way. And not in vain, we are here in 2018 to see the beast on its knees, as you can see. All those wars that they are promoting, the bloody disasters, they are nothing. They are just only the arrogance of the power. Arrogance that doesn't take them to nowhere. Just they are digging their own grave, and they are very deep. As you can see now, the example in Syria, they had their days count there. Where are they? They are just nowhere again. So thank you very much, and on behalf of the Circle Bolivarian Circle and the people of Venezuela. So thank you again, and let's fight together. If I forget something, there are some people that they want to free lands. Please tell those people, yes, there is only one to free. Let's free Palestine.
Thank you, comrade. Our next guest is an organizer for the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty and one of Canada's best speakers for socialism. Always on the cutting edge, OCAP has forged innovative campaigns to raise welfare rates and fought militantly to increase the minimum wage and to upgrade social housing. John is known as a critic of basic income, which he calls a neoliberal stalking horse. Please welcome the man at the center of the anti-poverty struggle, comrade and brother, John Clark.
Well, thank you very, very much, comrades. I want to begin by acknowledging that this is an anniversary of some importance today. Apart from the Day of Mourning for Injured Workers, 73 years ago today, the Italian partisans caught up with Benito Mussolini and he was executed. That's worth a quick squeak. But let me talk about an institution that should be mentioned on May Day for not entirely pleasant reasons, the World Bank. This last week, the World Bank put out a report in which they called for the driving down of the minimum wage and the gutting of workers' rights and employment standards on a global scale. They set out a blueprint for a super exploited, impoverished, rightless workforce. But they measured this, and the question of basic income was mentioned in the introduction. Against this destruction of workers' rights and creation of super exploitation, they suggested there should be a basic income provided. And quite clearly what they have in mind is a meagre subsidy provided to low-wage workers, paid for by other workers, to compensate for the destruction of their rights and their living standards. And that is an absolute outrage. But it speaks to something that has been in vogue in the last while. It's become obligatory for defenders and apologists of capitalism to talk in terms of enlightened capitalism. There's a new progressive packaging that's very much in mind. The Silicon Valley crowd are in love with this. The World Bank, the IMF, they're all talking this enlightened capitalism idea. And so we have this myth of enlightened capitalism, this reality of austerity, of endless war, and of environmental destruction that is unfolding. That's the reality today. The World Bank and the IMF have raised this question of anger, of the anger that is flowing from the rampant inequality that they have created on a global scale. They're not worried by the inequality, they're worried by the anger. And the anger is very real. We live in a time, perhaps, when the organisation, the organised form of the working class has been driven back. I'd be the first to admit that. But what's rising up is this mood of anger, of grievance, and it is enormously volatile. It's contradictory. It can go in reactionary directions sometimes, but at the same time it can produce things like this upsurge amongst teachers in the United States that nobody saw coming, that is rank and file driven. It can produce the absolutely incredible courage that enables Palestinian people to walk into a wall of firepower with defiance and courage. If there's any act that gives you any hope for the future of humanity, it's the courage of those Palestinian people. And yes, at the moment in Ontario, it is extremely likely that that mood of anger may take a very unfortunate turn. There is no doubt that there is a major risk that in the weeks ahead we will see the election of a government that will probably exceed the Mike Harris government when it comes to austerity, and will certainly exceed it in terms of social backwardness and bigotry and racism. That is a very real threat that we are looking at. But I do want to say that in the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty, we are determined that such a government get the response that it needs and richly deserves from the working class. There can be no passivity, there can be no confusion, there must be a relentless struggle against such a government if it takes power. And we are therefore calling for a common front of resistance, and we're calling on organisations and activists and political organisations that have an understanding of what must happen to actually ensure that we don't just protest in a moral sense the government, that we build a movement of economic disruption that can create a political crisis that can make it impossible for the Ford government, if it emerges, if it forms, to proceed with its vile agenda. Finally, and quickly, let me just say that if we are to do this, we must at the same time as we act pose a clear alternative. And that alternative is not going to be found amongst the purveyors of mainstream respectable neoliberalism, nor is it going to be found in third way social democracy. The alternative we must pose must be socialism. And I want to say that we are living in a time when more than any other, for a very, very long period of history, socialism does not have to be considered some embarrassed, awkward, outlandish proposal. If we don't embrace that notion, if we don't fight for socialism, we are facing a future of economic crisis. We are facing a future of endless war. The war on terror is now out of date. They are looking at power rivalry and the escalation of that agenda of war enormously. And we are looking at an environmental catastrophe. Left in the hands of the capitalist class, we face literally a global disaster. The need for socialism on May Day must be emphasised, but the need for socialism must be fought for every day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Comrade John. Our last speaker for this evening brings together labour unionism, independent working class political action, and revolutionary socialist politics. For 20 years, he was the president of Toronto Substitute Teachers and now wages a fight for democracy in OSSTF. He is a former OPSU, Ontario Public Service Employees Union, executive board member, and is chair of the NDP Socialist Caucus. fresh from the battle at the Federal NDP Convention in Ottawa in February. He is co-editor of SA Newspaper and Federal Secretary of Socialist Action Canada. Please welcome comrade and my life partner, Barry Wisely.
On matters of imperialist war, pipelines, and trade, Trudeau has been trumped. Instead of dumping the investor-state dispute settlement court, Trudeau wants to preserve NAFTA. Instead of disarmament and development aid, he is sending choppers to Mali in Central Africa, a country which happens to be rich in gold and uranium. Coincidence, I'm sure. Justin Trudeau backs NATO ally Turkey, which is on a killing spree in the Kurdish region of Syria. In contrast to these reactionary moves, we see a growing appetite for social and political change. Millions of women and men marched on January 21st across North America against sexism and misogyny. Millions more demonstrated on March 24 against gun violence. Millions are disgusted by the antics of Facebook and Cambridge Analytica. Campaigns to defend public postal services, to save public libraries, to make Ontario Hydro public again, and to raise the minimum wage are gaining ground. Teaching assistants at York University, at Carleton, at Western are fighting for decent jobs and pensions. In this situation, socialists are very active. We forced an end to the conservative leadership of federal NDP head Tom Mulcair, and we helped to defeat right-wing leader of the Canadian Labour Congress, Ken Giorgetti, in 2014. But there's much, much more to be done. Let's start with the housing crisis. Sisters and brothers, winter in Canada without housing is a death sentence. Scores die on the streets in this country every year, 100 in this city in 2017. In Toronto, the waiting list for social housing is over 180,000 people. Community housing stock requires $2.6 billion in repairs. The average home price in Greater Toronto is $916,000, and that's for any kind of home, even a small condo. Housing costs have outpaced wage increases for decades. Basically, wages have been frozen for 30 years. Instead of superficial measures like a tax on vacant condos and foreign investors, we need the government to build 500,000 housing units immediately under public ownership and workers' control. Corporations and the rich should pay for improved train and bus service. Want to get cars off the road? Free mass public transit is the better way. Why are good jobs so scarce? Not because of immigration, but due to automation and capitalist greed. In a few years, robots will quadruple. In a rational society, this would not be something to fear. The elimination of boring and dangerous work would be a good thing, provided that the fruits of automation are shared. Now, how can this be done? This can be done by shortening the work week without loss of pay and benefits. Share the available work, increase the quality of work life and productivity through democratic economic planning. Sadly, capitalism is going in the opposite direction along with that microphone. Big companies are emerging, killing thousands of jobs. The so-called middle classes have been squeezed while the very rich get richer. Governments complain about revenues, but they tolerate secret tax havens. The gap between economic growth and the well-being of Canadians widened considerably since the 2008 recession. Millions of people experience precarious work, longer commute times, rising rates of diabetes. Yet we feel none of the promised benefits of growth in the economy. Business hacks argue that governments cannot afford to worry about well-being. The truth is, my friends, that society cannot afford environmental degradation. It cannot afford the human and economic costs of poor health. And yet, what else does late capitalism have to offer? Many wonder, what will it take to change course? Well, isn't it clear? To save civilization, to save humanity, to save life on Earth, capitalism must go. And to do that, it will take a revolution.
Yes.
History shows that there can be no revolution without a revolutionary party. A revolutionary party is not something that's self-proclaimed. It must earn recognition in the eyes of millions. It takes more than slogans to change society, but slogans and a program are necessary. Sustained revolutionary practice based on a revolutionary program and strategy is absolutely required. Central to our program is the fight for climate justice and a decent, democratic, and sustainable future for humanity. We say it's time to declare a climate emergency. A new climate agenda would begin with nationalization of key sectors such as finance, energy, resource industries like big oil and gas, transportation, agribusiness, and auto. The economy must be restructured radically, with workers, scientists, and environmentalists doing the planning and managed by elected worker representatives. The top priority should be the rapid replacement of fossil and nuclear fuels with clean, renewable energy resources such as solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, and biomass. Reverse the privatization of Ontario Hydro. Phase out the Alberta tar sands. Cancel the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement and abrogate the other so-called free trade deals. Dismantle the polluting, wasteful, and dangerous war machine used to support imperialism. Dismantle nuclear weapons, starting with the US arsenal. Close all foreign military bases, send home all soldiers and military contractors, get Canada out of NATO. We demand nationalization of big oil and gas, not to drill for fossil fuels or to make pipelines safe. That's impossible. Our aim is to conscript the wealth accumulated by the energy pirates and to devote it to rapid green energy conversion. And that's the only way to fund the green energy transition that is so urgently needed. But what is the key to unlock the door to liberation? It is recognition of the fact that a socialist program must be advanced and won inside the mass working class organizations. Why? Because that is where we can create the political basis for a workers' agenda, a workers' government, and a socialist revolution. At this stage, activists are needed who understand the goal and the means to get there. The fight to win anti-austerity and eco-socialist policies must take place inside the workers' movement. It is true that we will find agents of the bourgeoisie there, and they must be fought. We must remove the union and NDP bureaucrats who collaborate with the bosses, who vote for cutbacks, vote for military spending, and prop up the rotten capitalist system. Look at the spectacle of the Alberta NDP government stabbing the BC NDP government in the back over a dirty oil pipeline. Clearly, the bureaucrats put their personal careers within the state apparatus ahead of the interests of the working class as a whole. They undermine the political independence of workers at every step. Pro-business bureaucrats must be replaced by class-conscious revolutionary workers. Workers will gain self-confidence in the fight against the bosses and against the agents of the bosses in the struggle in the workers' movement. That is why Socialist Action is engaged in struggles inside the mass working class organizations. You know something? You won't find many groups that call themselves socialist who do that today. Most of them stand on the sidelines talking to themselves or acting as cheerleaders for the bureaucrats. For Socialist Action, building a disciplined working class party inside our class is the heart of our strategy for revolutionary change. So we fight for socialist policies and we run candidates for executive office in unions and the NDP. We are leaders of the NDP Socialist Caucus. At the federal NDP convention in Ottawa in February, we were in the forefront of those making demands for party democracy and for public ownership of the commanding heights of the economy. Our candidates got between 16 and 33% of the votes cast, except for one, Dirk Prout, who was elected by majority vote for the office that she contested. And at that convention, delegates snapped up over 1,000 copies of Turn Left magazine, and we've got lots of them on supply here that you can take back to your city. We helped to shape the NDP leadership debate on pipelines and education, on childcare and taxation, and we will continue to push hard on freedom for Palestine and Kurdistan, for hands off Syria, Canada out of NATO, for jobs not bombs, for homes not bombs, and to tax the rich. Now here's a question for you. Are you sick at the prospect of 4 more years of John Tory big business rule at City Hall?
Yes.
Should there be a challenge from the socialist left at the October municipal election?
Yes.
Well, Socialist Action is ready to step up. We're ready to battle the business elite. If the NDP won't run, we will run candidates for city council and mayor if we can double our membership in this area in the next 2 months, because that's what we think is required to do a good job. Sisters and brothers, comrades and friends, I urge you to join us in this effort. But let's be very clear. There is no electoral solution. There is no market solution to the crisis of capitalism. The capitalist market created the problem. Only a social revolution can solve it. Only by taking control of the major means of production, like the Cubans did 58 years ago. Only by instituting democratic planning in harmony with nature does humanity have any hope of survival. That's what Socialist Action is all about. Educating, agitating, and organizing for fundamental change. And in this process, a mass revolutionary workers' party will arise. Such a party is the key to a future of peace, freedom, and prosperity. But it cannot and will not be built without you. So please join Socialist Action today. Together we can make the world a place truly fit for human beings. Long live the international working class. Long live the fight for socialism and feminism. Have a wonderful, festive, red May Day weekend.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, so that ends I guess, not the spoken word, because we will have spoken word. It's more political speeches, and now we're going to get in to the cultural part of the evening. And folks, please, while every speaker was speaking, everybody was listening. I want you to give the same respect to our comrades that gave up their time to come and either read a poem, recite a poem, or sing a song, or whatever they're going to do. Remember, they're giving up their time and they're workers too, so I want full respect for them. Okay? So, in the meantime, in between time, don't forget the raffle. So, in between acts, while they're setting up for something, Julius will be going around with more tickets to sell. Now, a couple of people that were supposed to come tonight unfortunately couldn't make it. One was Sister Erin Linden. She was supposed to sing here tonight, but she called and she's not feeling well at all. And then our hip-hop artist, I know he was working, but he was supposed to come after work. Maybe he'll even turn up yet, but I don't know. He hasn't arrived. Everybody remembers Mohammed Ali Omer, so he hasn't arrived, so hopefully he will come before the evening is through. Okay, so our first entertainer, artist of the night will come up now, and he is Jale, who is the AKA Black Lotus Media. He's a spoken word artist and a DJ. His musical gatherings and dancers are becoming a feature of cultural life in the Dovercourt Bloor neighborhood. And I know he sponsors, or he's part of an open mic, so he will tell you a little more about that when he comes up. But he does, every Sunday there's an open mic in a location that he will give you, and I think he put it on the table already that people can come out and get up and do what they wish, I guess. So, come on up, brother.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. All right. Peace, comrades. How y'all tonight? How y'all doing? It's an honor to be here. Much love, Socialist Action, for having me speak once again. This uplifting and necessary, very important community event. My name is Jill Black Lotus, as Sister Elizabeth said. There's so much information, as always, at a Socialist Action event for us to take in. If there's something's mentioned that you didn't catch some facts, then feel free to talk to the speakers. Very, very knowledgeable. All the other speakers, Elizabeth, they're all very knowledgeable. So don't be afraid. There's no fear here, right? We got no time for that. We got time for that. In the few decades that I've lived my life, it's been the same thing every day. Watching my mother struggle, You know, watch them, like my family struggle, all of us struggling. Why we struggle? That's not how life is supposed to be. But we cannot affect change by doing nothing, and fear will not help in the struggle. So there's no fear here or anywhere else on this planet, in Toronto or anywhere else. We got no time for that, all right? So it's all about progress. I'm gonna go in. I have two poems I selected. I wrote specifically for this event tonight. So just sit back, relax. This is, you know, some edutainment, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna, you know, it's each one teach one. I've been learning a lot tonight that will be the source for other inspired poems in the future. There's so much learning involved in these sessions, and I'm very thankful to be here and honored to be among my comrades tonight as we fight for freedom, justice, and equality. You know what I'm saying? So this first poem was called Progress. Automatic, systematic, heal the shattered democratic process for progress. Automatic, systematic, heal the shattered democratic process for progress. Yes, consider this a work in progress, dedicated to a beautiful world, simply controlled by the lawless. How ironic, this system of things. Intention is to continually bless, blessings of love and peace, from Toronto strong, out to the Middle East, light we shine worldwide. Our First Nations, Africa, Syria, Venezuela, Palestine, and elsewhere. Our comrades are stars. And we know Black Lives Matter, but when all lives gather as one united front, everyone will get the compassion, freedom, justice, and equality they deserve and want. And we can go on in an effort to right wrongs, unite the left, serve and protect our moms, sisters, and little fawns. To the breaking dawn of a new world order of truth, 100% proof. Solidarity through and through and through the things we do and say affect positive change tomorrow from the reality we touch today. Because everything is not A-OK, more like Mayday, Mayday, like today, or the 1st of May. Like since and before, after May 1st, 1886, in Chicago state of emergency, emerge and see. Workers, days and nights are filled with despair and urgency to bring great quality of life to our existence. But it's hard to make sense of the unreasonable compensation. Dollars makes you want to holler and throw up your hands, or do the opposite of a happy dance. Elderly circumstance is meaningless words and conversations when our seniors work eons only to receive minimal remuneration, pensions reduced. What's the use fighting when the so-called powers that be are categorically defined as ruthless murderers, thieves? But best believe we will indeed maintain this resistance and uphold the revolution until tangible solutions are internationally implemented and universally applied. Lying leaders won't provide, but we ain't got no time to feel sorry or cry. Less emotion, more action. Unite all factions until we achieve our goals. Emancipation of all souls. Beware of tools for control, social media, fake news, religion, racial division. Instead of blowing up the planet, let's find a better use for our nuclear fission. Choose a radiant path and be joyful in your decision. Negative vibrations we reroute and extinguish without a doubt. We need to shut down the government, force them to relinquish their malicious grip. Disrupt the parliament on principle because the elected officials are not doing what they were voted in to do by most of us. It's true. And I'm not telling you anything new under the sun. Consider this a reminder that even before the life and times of rich and wise King Solomon and his many concubines, there was and always has been widespread corruption and scandal. May we remind you, wisdom is better than silver and gold and oil. But nobody told your PM, Premier, Mayor, Municipal, MP, 4 levels of government and still are Canada 150, quote unquote, nation is empty of hope unless you're 1% of the 37 million Canadians from the East Coast to the West. The 99 still cope, though periodically depressed. In this daily struggle, we must always do our best to be resilient. And we know, as my comrades Button show, capitalism is tantamount to organized crime. But we work all week and barely make a dime. In socialist community enlists in this passionate resist stance against this imperialist, fascist, capitalist regime. Prosperity for every man, woman, and child should not be a lifelong dream, but instead something we all can definitely achieve. No more foolishness. Politicians' continuous double-tongued rhetoric, election promises, you and I both know they don't intend to keep. Just keep secrets from us while taxes and debt increase. And now is the time we seize and proceed to collectively rise with love above the insanity and lies. The government is nothing more than a money-hungry corporation, and worse than that, because bodies around this world are lying flat. Because now this governmental corporation acts in such a way, but with impunity, while we fight back every day and night with community unity, like tonight. And that's essential. Our mutual credentials, human beings, not just classified as precarious, proletariat, working class, combating sometimes somewhat enraged for a $15 wage. In all fairness, we have almost as many condos as homeless people because they could care less where we live as long as we give up that tax fee. And these days, pretty much nothing is tax-free. So they can reside in their expensive mansions, drive hot cars, their toys, and this is playtime. Workers' rights, not if you're working in the mines. In education, not in our schools. We must think we're all fools. We put up with our kids falling behind. And so the bottom line, democracy is a lie. When our decisions are influenced by Facebook ads and covert design, wake up and see. Society was built on divide and conquer mentality, philosophy of separation for personal gain of a minority, racist, white supremacy. It's up to us to raise more than our voice or our fists, and physically and monetarily resist, counteract on all levels, dethrone and remove these devils, and this must be automatic, systematic, heal the shattered democratic process for progress. I said automatic, systematic, heal the shattered democratic process for progress. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much. So yeah, I hit you with the hardcore. You know what I'm saying. Love is soft, but I know how many mothers we have in the house. Any mothers? Any mothers? Yeah, exactly. Well, the mothers know about tough love, right? So I start with not so much the tough love, but the harder points, the things that we need to reason on. It's just no joke. This is our life. None of us should be waking up in the morning being like, I gotta go to work, but that's pretty much most of us in this room, this is probably how we feel, to some degree. We learn about through meditation and proper diet, getting proper rest. We've learned to calm ourselves and go ahead with our life and find joy in our hearts and be calm in our daily life. Caress me with your mind. Hold me in your thoughts. Guide me with your spirit. Keep me in your heart. Caress me with your mind. Hold me in your thoughts. Guide me with your spirit. Keep me in your heart. Love me in the way I need to be loved, the way no one else can. Knowledge the wisdom to understand. No 2 days are the same, except duality of happy days, interchanged with pain. No pain, no gain, they say. But who are they anyway? And as it pertains to the ways of love, I would claim there can be an assortment of sorrow within an overabundance of emotion, of feelings. But even still, I crave your touch. And tears are healing my broken heart. Through the swan song my eyes sang, meeting you more complete. Return to true divine self like a boomerang. We coincide beyond the physical realms of unrealistic expectation and issues of trust. Because at the end of the day, at the end of time, when I die, you'll miss me so much. But in the meantime, and in between time, while we are both alive, please remember the 5 love languages. And I need you to caress me with your mind, hold me in your thoughts, guide me with your spirit, keep me in your heart. I said, please, caress me with your mind, hold me in your thoughts, guide me with your spirit, and keep me in your heart. Peace. Have a good night, comrades. Good to have you. Love each other and love yourself. Peace.
Thank you, brother. Okay. Our next artist, Mohammed Ali Omer, is a Toronto hip-hop rap artist. He says he started spitting rhymes at the age of 16 in high school, on park benches, and in stairwells. Within a few years, his passion for music grew stronger, and combined with a passion for social justice, became a force to be reckoned with. All of this while still bringing forward a message of peace, unity, and solidarity. So welcome once again back to our stage at the Free Times, Mohammed Ali.
What up, what up? Toronto, Mayday, Socialist Action. How y'all doing?
Good.
So, gonna do about 4 pieces for y'all. Different variations of length. I'm gonna get right into it. Y'all know me. I know y'all. We fam. Some new stuff. Some new stuff for y'all. I'm even gonna do Precarious with some new verses that you probably haven't heard before. Just so you know, woke up yesterday, did a bit of parenting, went, performed the day of mourning, hopped on a train, went to Ottawa, set up my art gallery visual show, then went headlined Ottawa Mayworks festival launch concert, woke up, got on a train, came back here, took a nap. Now I'm here at Socialist Action Mayday, and my art show is being shown in Ottawa right now. And afterwards, I'm going to go set up and organize an event, and then perform at that event, and then DJ that event. So, and there's a point to that, right? When I first started, was it like 4 or 5 years ago? You first asked me. Like I was like, whoa, like I actually get to do a Mayday show for the first time ever, and it was phenomenal. And now I have like I got 3 shows on Mayday itself, right? But that's a testament to organizing. There's so many organizations, so many activists, especially Julius, Barry, Elizabeth, and folks in this room that organize around Mayday and throughout the year that create spaces for artists to do the work that we do. So that's my way of saying thank you, because if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't have all these shows this weekend and this week. So thank you. All right, now let's get into it. I am very excited to share some new stuff with y'all, if my phone will cooperate. All right, here we go. So this one right here is on the remix to Democracy Now! That I'm gonna perform a little bit later, but I just want to warm it up for y'all. It goes a little something like this. First is for my fam, Bennett's for my fans, my people at the jam, those who still give a damn. New mathematics, we the millions, we the masses. Without wonder, we outnumber millionaires across the planet. We parse poetics, it ain't always positive. We politic in places they ain't talking politics. Park benches, block corners, barber shops, coffee spots, real life. It's really like I really hate my boss. Muhammad too political, too hypocritical, too cynical. I keep it going, but I'm out of syllables. Let them stay on their soapboxes. This ain't no soap opera. Wish they had a goal that wasn't pro soccer. Fat cats getting rich, we hungry, we marvin, we starve as artists. They say you are what you eat, but really though you are what you think. Let them know. So that is the warm-up, and it flows right into this to Democracy Now, which is that's the remix for it. Glenn, check 1, check 2, check. Check. I don't need a mic. I don't need a mic. I don't need a mic. Money, power, respect. Money, power, respect. Money, power, respect. They just keeping all it. Money, power, respect. Money, power, respect. Money, power, respect. They just keeping all it. Would you send your future son out to Ferguson? Would you see the front line or be the first to run? Would you still rally if the battle won't be won? Ferguson, this goes out to Ferguson. They got me putting rent up on the visa. Tell you sky is the limit. They don't want to see us reach it. They want to keep us down. They want to keep it secret. The people united. All the way at the top, they don't see it. Champagne by the leaders. All my leaders is elitist. Sick of broken treaties. Sick of how they treat us. The people united. The power of the people, stronger than people in power. The powered by the people, we put those people in power. Hours turn to days, days into decades. Work 8 to 6 and raise my kid, I'm living in a debt age. Pay paradise, put up a parking lot. Joni Mitchell never lied, still, the block is hot. Pipelines from the Barren Sea, pipes where the bear should be. We need solidarity, we need solid air to breathe. Wouldn't weep if we reap what we sowed. We believe giving each equal peace, that's the goal. We don't steal, we don't scheme, they see us as drones. Machines, worker bees for the queen on the throne. This ain't no play on no game, on no board. When the stakes is your life, you taking what's yours. Money, power, respect, what my people call it. I mean, we making all this money, they just keeping all it. Money, power, respect. Money, power, respect. Money, power, respect. They just keeping all it. Money, power, respect. Money, power, respect. Money, power, respect. They just keeping all it. Would you send your future son out to Ferguson? Would you see the front line or be the first to run? Would you still rally if the battle won't be won? Ferguson, this goes out to Ferguson. They got me putting rent up on the visa. Tell you sky is the limit. They don't want to see us reach it. They want to keep us down. They want to keep it secret. The people united. We'll never be defeated. All the way at the top, they don't see it. Champagne by the leaders. All my leaders is elitist. Sick of broken treaties. Sick of how they treat us. The people united. We'll never be defeated. 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 Check. Oh, we got a mic. And you know what? Thank y'all. For this one, a mic definitely comes in handy. So, got 3 more pieces for y'all. This one I think some of y'all have heard before, but some of y'all may not have. Karma Brown Folk. It's my rendition looking at the brown experience in North America. Originally it was a book by Vijay Prashad in the 70s, and I updated it in song. And it goes a little something like this, y'all. Who am I? Am I not what I'm supposed to be? Let me tell you about these roads that were proposed to me. I should be a doctor or an engineer. Drive a cab to pay tuition for the 7 years. They call us model minority, expected to set examples and show the monarchy loyalty. Never free, indentured in anything that we ventured in. Our inventions, our medicine, everything. The karma of brown folk, cardamom chai teas, masala with ground cloves. They love our saris and our steel pan flows, we in the household. But our names they can't pronounce though. Samir, not Sammy. Abdullah, not Abby. This ain't some rap name, born and raised Muhammad Ali. Descended from the sheikhs and sings who change history. How could I hide my heritage? You kidding me? Many men
distressed about me. Love in my eyes, God, but they can't see. I'm trying to breathe, they won't let me be me. Some people trying to take my rights away. They put a hold on my visa, they want me to leave. Go back to Mauritius down by Port Louis. Better watch for the cops and them customs police, cause they trying to take your rights away. It's for Amira, my firstborn. It's for my ancestors, I talk to them. This for Prashad, his words of wisdom, yo. This is that karma brown folk living. When they came for Islam, you weren't brown and said nothing. You weren't Muslim. That always got you cross customs. Everybody silent, barely anybody called out. Now the NSA tap us every time we call out. They said, Mo, stop playing the race card. Hey Mo, stay in your lane and race hard. Better yet, bruh, speed up and chase God. Let's flip the script. How about you embrace unfair odds? You channel your inner Gandhi, shave your beard in the lobby, hide your accent when you're talking, or they treat you like Gaddafi. How it feels to be lumped in with terrorism, scary isn't it? I'm not even Arabic, they don't know what the difference is. Rock Malala's hijab, rock Trayvon's hoodie, rock Malala's hijab, rock Trayvon's hoodie, rock Malala's hijab, rock, rock, rock. Many man distressed about me. Love in my eyes, God, but they can't see. I'm trying to breathe, they won't let me be me. Some people trying to take my rights away. Put a hold on my visa, they want me to leave. Go back to Mauritius down by Port Louis. Better watch for the cops and them customs police, cause they trying to take your rights away.
Got one more or two? One more? Alright. Okay. So I got one more that I got a boogie, but I'm very, very excited to announce. Here's that one already. Very, very excited to announce that my album will finally be coming out in the fall. Getting a lot of labor support to finish the funding. So the actual album's been done for 2 years, because y'all been hearing the records of this album for 3 years. But I didn't want to just release it, put it out there on Spotify and let it fly. I actually want to do a full court press, which includes like cinematic music videos and whatnot. So it's finally coming out on Labor Day. It's been done for a couple years, but you can finally put it on your Spotify playlist. The album, like I said, has lots that comes along with it, including an art show that's showing in Ottawa. And some of the art pieces, each song has an accompanying poster that you can buy for the price of $10. I will be around for a few minutes outside, then I have to go to the next set of shows, but there's some dope posters, so hopefully y'all can come support me a little bit, and every little bit of money will help get the album done and make sure it gets done before September 1st. It's great to get labor solidarity supporting it, but I'd be, in Ottawa last night, about 12 posters, you know what I mean? And this is my hometown, so I hope y'all can be very generous and support the socialist vocalist in his capitalist pitch to get his album done. Alright, so this right here is the remix, Precarious Work. I go by the name Muhammad Ali. If you want some support and you can't buy a poster, at Socialist Hip Hop, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, follow me, it helps a lot. You know what I mean? Pull your phone out right now at Socialist Hip Hop. But yo, this is the remix, y'all. Check it. You the people, stand up. We the people, put your hands up. Unless you in handcuffs, I wanna see you amped up. We the people, get them hands up. You the people, stand up. We the people, put your hands up. Unless you in handcuffs, I wanna see you amped up. We the people, get them hands up. Money, they tell me work for it. I'm dirt poor, living on a dirt floor, doing dirt and making dirt for it. Serving Canadian, she praying, trying to work for it. Need an operation, so she praying in the church for it. Selling Tom Ford, he can't afford for it. Trying to make a payment on a Ford Taurus. Bootlegging DVDs up in the store for it. Winter coming, desperate trying to store for it. Riding the bus just so he can drive a bus for it. Double shifting on the corner trying to bust for it. Until he holding out a Timmy's cup for it. Can't afford a coffee so his hands he got a cup for it. The state passing me by, asked for spare change, gave me a passive reply. So the kind of change I need from you is passion and drive. He drove off staring at me from the passenger side. You the people, stand up. We the people, put your hands up. Unless you in handcuffs, I wanna see you amped up. We the people, keep them hands up. You the people, stand up. We the people, put your hands up. Unless you in handcuffs, I wanna see you amped up. We the people, keep them hands up. Rep the union like I'm uniform. If I had one, then I'd be in the uniform.
That's what I'm at your college pushing units for, utilizing student minds, what I went to uni for. Say good job ain't what it used to be, a fair living wage ain't ready for its eulogy. Time to unify, wouldn't you agree? Measure the units of the unions by the unity of you and me. Come on, got a dictionary in the area. Says it's useless but it sounds utilitarian. They telling me I'm smart but my union isn't? Kiss my you know what, there's a euphemism. Trade unionism and you can help me. Can't turn me to a robot cause I'm user friendly. Time to unify, wouldn't you agree? Measure the units of the unions by the unity of you and me. Bam, you the people, stand up. We the people, put your hands up. Unless you in handcuffs, I wanna see you amped up. We the people, put them hands up. You the people, stand up. We the people, put your hands up. Unless you in handcuffs, I wanna see you amped up. We the people, keep your hands up. Muhammad Ali, Socialist Vocalist, happy May Day, comrades.
James Gordon.
Thank you. Great to be here. It was very inspiring, Muhammad, and the actor for that, my DJ. And yeah, I have a bizarre double life. Singer, songwriter, and politician. Poetician, I call myself. So, but I do spend half my time making speeches, not as inspiring as the ones I heard this evening, and the rest of the time singing songs. Sometimes I feel the songs are more useful, but we'll see. This one, I for some reason had a little period around Christmas of reading Portuguese socialist poetry, and that inspired this song. And the poem, main part of the poem I read was, how many workers does it take to make one rich man? How many children's tears must be cried to prop up the kingdom of old white guys? How many are the victims of the robber baron's plans? How many does it take to make one rich man? How many meals must be missed? How many must flounder down in the alleys in the blood and the piss? How many broken backs? How many calloused hands? How many does it take to make one rich man? To put one at the top. How many wallow at the bottom? To put one on a pedestal. How many are forgotten to raise one up? How many must be kept down? How many must wear rags so that one can wear a crown? How many are exploited? How many are abused? How many left behind? Nothing left to lose. How many will never share in the wealth of this land? How many does it take to make one rich man? How many women work in sweatshop slavery? How low do wages actually have to be? How many have lost the will to take a stand? How many does it take to make one rich man? Oh, to put one at the top. How many wallow at the bottom? To wanted to raise just one up. How many are kept down? How many must wear rags so that one can wear a crown? How many does it take? How many do you figure? How many does it take to make one rich man? Thank you. All right, so do you feel like singing at all? Yeah, okay. Well, go right ahead. I'll get a drink. No, this is a bit of an audience participation. It's answering back song, just like Down by the Bay. Let's see. So this is, as a politician and as an activist, I often hear people ranting and telling me, look, we gotta fix the system because it's broken. It seems obvious, but if you think a little deeper, realize the system isn't broken because it was made that way. So answer every line. Well, it wasn't made for you. It wasn't made for me. It was made for who? Is at the top of the heap. Well, listen to me. Oh, when I say, the system isn't broken, it was made that way. The system wasn't broken, it was made that way. The system isn't broken, it was made that way. The system isn't broken, it was made that way. Well, now it isn't fair. Not supposed to be. Not supposed to be. Cause they don't care. They don't care about you and me. You and me. Well, listen to me. Listen to me. Oh, when I say. Oh, when I say. The system isn't broken, it was made that way. The system wasn't broken, it was made that way. The system isn't broken, it was made that way. The system wasn't broken, it was made that way. Okay, just me. Well, you think our social fabric has been torn, huh? It was ripped right from the start. From that sorry day that you were born. It's meant to keep us in them apart. Oh, well, now the system isn't wrecked. The system isn't wrecked. Cause it was meant to protect the 1%. The 1%. Ah, listen to me. Listen to me. Oh, when I say. Oh, when I say. The system isn't broken, it was made that way. The system isn't broken, it was made that way. The system isn't broken, it was made that way. The system isn't broken, it was made that way. Well, it was built to last. Built to last. By the upper class. By the upper class. Built on greed. Built on greed. Not democracy. Not democracy. It wasn't made for you. It wasn't made for you. It wasn't made for me. It wasn't made for me. It wasn't made for you. It wasn't made for you. And it wasn't made for me. All right. Nice going. All right. Okay, this one, it was mentioned today, is also the day of mourning for killed and injured workers. I marched this morning in my hometown of Guelph. So I actually played, we marched from City Hall, where I spent half my time, down to this park where we had some presentations and some speeches, and the whole way I played, marching down the main street, I played the Death March. So it only was 15 minutes, so I thought I'd do that for you now, because it was quite inspiring. Well, no, yeah, maybe not, maybe not. Yeah, okay. But anyway, I wrote this song for the day of mourning, and one of the things that was pointed out, I presume there was a ceremony here in Toronto too, that a lot of those killed, a lot of those injured become numbers and not names. So I thought I would write a song that used some names. Canadians. When that big crane came crashing down, Keith Germain was knocked to the ground on that snowy field in southern Alberta. But if the company had done things right, kept that workplace safe, and young Keith's life wouldn't be over, his death would have been averted. Workers get injured, they get sick, they get the short end of the stick, even though we have the laws to prevent their losses. They say that just last year alone, 1,000 workers didn't make it home. The only ones who don't get hurt are the bosses. Holden Scully was barely 22. All they found was his hard hat and his boots when he got caught in that rock crushing machine. Not a single charge was laid, though a lack of training was to blame. The gravel pit boss gave no penalty. 'Cause workers get injured, they get sick, they get the short end of the stick, even though we have the laws to prevent their losses. They say that just last year alone, 1,000 workers didn't make it home. The only ones who don't get hurt are the bosses. Megan Tosh worked a punch press shift at night. She could tell the guardrail wasn't set right. She told the foreman that no one heard her. The system we have got has failed. Kill a worker, you should go to jail. There are more deaths from on the job than from murder. Workers get injured, they get sick, they get the short end of the stick, even though we have the laws to prevent those losses. They say that just last year alone, 1,000 workers didn't make it home. The only ones who don't get hurt are the bosses. The only ones who don't get hurt are the bosses. Okay, got a brand new song, not performed yet, so we'll see how it goes. Now, there are quite a few cultural workers here this evening. This is for you and kind of about you. It's a sensitive issue. I'll give an example. An event like this, even though I'm very honored to be part of it, offering my time for free, I frequently find myself in a place where the waiter and the cook would never be asked to do what they do for free, and yet artists are always asked to do what they do for free. And now, in the digital age, I've been doing this for 40 years, people want, even if you're not present, they want your music for free, right? They want it on Spotify. I used to rant about Spotify. I'm cool with it if you also realize that listening to it on Spotify does not support a cultural worker. We can't do what we do if that's the only way you're listening to what we do. So I think you're welcome to do it if you find other ways to support your artist, like buying Muhammad's album, buying his poster.
Did you bring
some product?
Bought some product.
There you go.
I'm giving it away for free. No. But I also, ironically, this just, I wanted this song to get out there because I think it's a timely topic. So it's available for free on YouTube. But it's called For Free. Guess I don't look like my album covers anymore. Uh-oh. What's the key? Gee, I need to give this away for free. It's C sharp minor, that's where it starts. I should know that. Guess there it is. Guess I don't look like my album covers anymore. It's about a guy named Kenny Ford. And I picked that name because it rhymes with anymore. Guess I don't look like my album covers anymore. But every now and then I still get recognized. They say, hey, didn't you used to be that Kenny Ford? I say I still am. Do you want that with fries? If I serve you a coffee and a butter tart in this rundown diner, you expect to pay. But if I serve you up a song, come straight from the heart, you expect me to give it all away. You want me to cry, you want me to bleed, and at the same time be the flavor of the week. Does it matter if I got mouths to feed? You want me to give it all away for free. They say, hey, I hear you all the time on Spotify. I tell them honestly, I really am quite thrilled. Doesn't seem to mean a whole lot if I tell them that won't actually pay my bills. I find myself saying, hey pal, you used to put a little value on what folks like me are working hard to do. We tried to raise you up out of this shit, cheer you up a little bit, give you something that was real and true. Is it too much to ask for a little back from you? You want me to cry, you want me to bleed, and at the same time be the flavor of the week. Doesn't matter if I got mouths to feed. You want me to give it all away for free. You get a refill on that Java if you want some. In this joint you get a bottomless cup, but it's not a bottomless well us riders draw from. It takes a little help from you to fill it up. It takes a little help from you to fill it up. It takes a little help from you to fill it up. Thank you. All right. Let's see. All right. I'll do one more for these guys. That makes sense? All right. Probably done this before here. And it's great to be back. I think seem to sort of manage to get here once every other year now.
We love you, James.
Oh, thanks. They clap now, but they haven't seen me retune in mid-set. This song, I mentioned I was in this band Tamarack for a long time, and our goal, I think, was to give a voice to the real people of Canada, a lot of workers, but our heritage and our culture. And as I was traipsing across the country singing songs about that, I'd often get to a town and I'd wonder what the first settlers of this country whether they were indigenous or colonists, what they would think if they could see what we have done with what they left for us. Does that make sense? That's what this is about. That's close enough for folk music, I think. Go. If they saw their squandered legacy, they would surely be ashamed. All they worked for, all those years for, we've given it all away to the bankers and the bureaucrats, to the Conrad Blacks. We owe it to the pioneers to take this country back. That's your line, goes like this. We owe it to the pioneers to take this country back. For the miners in Cape Breton toiling deep the ground, who never even made enough to buy the coal that they found. To the Dust Bowl farmers starving in their coal tar paper shacks, we owe it to the pioneers to take this country back. Take back the spirit that was captured in the canyons of concrete and glass. Back to the lakes and the mountains and the fields of prairie grass. For the migrant workers harvesting their crops with calloused hands, who thought they'd made it to a fair and an honest land. To the laborers who cleared the swamps and who laid the railroad tracks, we owe it to the pioneers to take this country back. And for the women in the textile mills and the canning factories, all those who dream someday they'd find success and dignity. For the natives on the Fraser, drying salmon on their racks, we owe it to the pioneers to take this country back. Take back the spirit that was captured in the canyons of concrete and glass. Give it back to the lakes and the mountains and the fields, prairie grass. And for those scratched living from this frozen rocky earth, thought they'd made it where you were not judged by your net worth. Canadians who have fallen in between the corporate cracks, we owe it to the pioneers to take this country back. Last time, yes, we owe it to the pioneers to take this country back. And there's an election coming up just for that. Thanks so much. Solidarity. Sorry I can't stay too long tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Corey.
Hey.
Hey,
Corey. How's it going?
I'm gonna do some poetry for you, and I can't say that it's gonna be as positive as the other stuff maybe, but it's when I get, frustrated with what's going on in the world, I have to remind myself that I gotta put in the work myself, and we all gotta put in the work to see change happen, right?
That's right.
You can't just complain about it,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you guys do, I know you guys put in lots of work, lots of hard work to put together events like this, and marches and rallies, and to raise awareness around all these issues, going on in this city, but around the world, so. I'm gonna do some poetry for you now. This first one's called Dumb. Pointless man cowering under the biggest dome in the Holy Land. Trinity said she knew him, but she don't remember where from. The look in her eye is dumb. I is dumb. Arguing compartments till they turn into slums. Every direction leading back to the scum. Hit me up with a fine rag and tell me it's clean. Don't matter much, just want to rub it out of my dreams. Baseline drowns with the curiosity along with the screams. Got caught babbling about the chasm I thought I forgot. Infinity seems so uninteresting next to games of Twister till dawn. Gotta tilt the shades a little, can't let him notice. Too far gone. Pa sold the farm, still can't get rid of the blisters. 3 times I hit her, 3 times she's run. Every time I missed her, couldn't care less what she's done. Been thinking about getting my license again, been thinking real dumb. Times are hard enough here, gotta drive a little wild, a little wider now, just to have a bit of fun. That was dumb. This next poem is called Content. I love the ladies, the plastic girls caught in swirls, buried alive in the mind. Blaring sunshine, never soft, never warm, beautiful in such an ugly way. Jaded by payday, tasting of crazy, played with and left uninterested. Scarred and barred, in existence in a trance. A dance of lances rushing round, hard not to drown, and I keep them, the prisoners of fears, insecurities of history, lost, lured by freedom. Easier upon deaf ears than the beautiful one next to me. Living a life of cause and passion, surviving on a handful of rations, the soldier, the spirit, never faded nor persuaded, brandishing the greatest future imaginable, so terrifying the risk now hidden away with shame. Bliss, better to sit, thoughts used to be actions. Life has a way of finding you humility, or modesty, or maybe forgetting who you want to be. Content with misery, climbing the twisted tree of plastic, greased up with chapstick, still suffering from whiplash, passing around on your way to town. Too many pretty ones to get lost in with. This content. This way. This next one's called Love Never Changes. In a rough state, pining away, too ungrateful to be okay. Seen getting dragged in moments of bittersweet. What to say, where to go, just stay, cups full. Depends on the day. Damsel in distress, that's a fun game. Losing my head before my feet touch the ground. Bearing the story before it makes a sound. Selling lampshades to night lights for a candlelit home. I've convinced myself of worse shit, but she's so resistant to doubt. Can I get a moment? Cause I just want to scream. You know what, it's cool. People getting ripped apart so we can argue over their fuel. Little girls getting kidnapped and turned into drool. Fools with money robbing the blind. Murdering the best thing, what we need is more time. You know what? Because I fucking don't. Floating up in the atmosphere, don't you dare pull the plug. Her brain isn't working, but she still looks in the mirror. This one's called Ain't Your Problem. Ain't your problem. Old couple down the street, 2 men broke in, broke the nose, and robbed them. Ain't your problem. Teen cuffed in the back of a cop car, raped by taxpayer dollars, but can't even charge them. These authorities ain't your problem. Working full-time in a second Amazon, surviving on food stamps, but your billionaire boss don't want them. Ain't your problem. Living on the streets in a place you call home, temperature dropping to 40 below. They steal your tent, but there ain't no room in the shelter to go. Ain't your problem. Murdering her family, she defends herself, now she's a state enemy. But the freedom fighters will forever be friends to me. Ain't your problem. Breaking promises, hiding evidence in tar pits, selling natural resources for even greater profit. Environment's a catastrophe, wouldn't know it. The ticker flying higher than even I can see. Do we got money to eat or learn? How about a decent job and a place where everyone can get a turn? An expanded military budget should see those problems burn. The rich go vacationing in Vegas and the poor rent out their basements just for the steady income to collect an interest in the Caymans. You doubt me? Look it up. Ain't your problem. The whole system's fucked. This one's called The Lord. The Lord. The Lord. Yeah. The Lord giveth and the sword taketh away. Freedom to bleach history. Nationality's out. In this place we got chaos and doubt. Sorry, morality's out. In this place we got chaos and doubt. United front fighting over which horse to mount. I ain't shaming. At least we believe the world's a haven where a future exists for everyone to believe in. These years I've been living witness endless injustices. countless victim. What gives a man the right? A god in his eyes, claiming land and sea and even the stars beyond the skies. Anything he deems his destiny to buy. It's a nice try. The coin flip of the universe gives an inch, and he decides nothing else deserves to smile. For too long, misery has been forced down the throats of starving entities. Entrails torn and bleeding, chemicals designed to ruin lives are always sold with a smile. Backs broken, ideas murdered with threats of physical and economical torture, businesses booming, always delivered on time, always with a smile. Don't let them come here. It's not like we stole this country and decided it was in our best interest to corrupt theirs. Paradise too valuable to share. Better to part it up and sell it off, and when they can't afford it, take everything they got and buy it back for half the cost. He thinks the mass is meek and malleable, but in the face of a criminal system with a recipe, we have a recipe to have his destiny rest in pieces. I hope he's still smiling. One more. And this one's called Ride. One moment, please. This is a little more of a love song, but we're gonna make it work. Kind of a melancholy love song, we'll see. All right. And we can sing all night, standing on the edge of the brink, looking down, feeling great, never having nothing at stake. And I can run, and you can chase, we're all finished with this race. And you'll smile, and I'll break, never thought it'd taste so sweet. And we can cry all night, watching it go round the sink. And I can lie, and you can blink, as we laugh away the pain. Never looking back, running away, branded for a lost maze, looking at haze, staring at you. Wish I could say more than you've heard before. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great new day. Viva la revolución!
Okay, our next artist is a dear friend, but after a little break, she's been back for a while now, and she's back one more time to grace our stage. Without a doubt, I think she's one of the sweetest vocalists around. Please put your hands together for my dear friend, Linda Saslow. And she's also putting one of her CDs into the draw, so buy more tickets.
I just want to say, I've said this before, and now really, if Elizabeth hadn't helped me a few years ago, it's got to be 10 years ago, she made me fight. I had to learn how to fight. I was always in the background, always a sweet little person here. She gave me the strength. She really helped me through a really rough period in my life. She gave me the strength and to fight. So I've been fighting since since that time. I'm a rebel with a cause. But I want to say, I finally did an album this year.
Yes.
And here it is. Here it is. It's called Everything. And I'm selling it tonight for whatever you want to pay. It could be $2, it could be $10, whatever you feel like paying. I'm very proud of this album. It's produced by Bill Bell, who's the guitarist for Tom Cochrane, has some amazing musicians. I'm very proud of it. A lot of DJs have been playing my album for the past month and a half, specifically today. And I just want to say that when I was making this album, every step of the way, I really had to fight for it. You have to fight for an album. Yeah. Every step of the way. There were some rough patches during the making of this album, and I fought, and here it is. So I'm thanking Elizabeth for giving me the strength way back when. You don't forget, these roots. She really helped me. So here I am, and I'm going to sing a song or two from my album. And the album is called Everything. This is a song that I know that Elizabeth loves, and I'm going to play it for you now. The sun is going down. silver. I'll be moving on without you. Nights are long and the days are getting colder. I'll be big and strong, waiting and wanting you. Never been so blue, never felt so much emotion. I'll get through to you, it's true. Life is long and we're only getting older. I'll be big and strong, leaving and loving you. There is nothing in the world like a smile when you smile. There is nothing like the love of a child. And there is nothing like the sound of music in your eyes. There is nothing like the last goodbye. Nights are long and the days are getting colder. I'll be big and strong, waiting and wanting you. The sun is going down and the moon has changed to silver. I'll be moving on without you. Life is long and we're only getting older. I'll be big and strong, leaving and loving, waiting and wanting you. Thank you. You're never here. So I'm going to play one more song and then Glenn is going to come up and we're going to do one of his songs. This is the first song I ever wrote. I'm from Ottawa and yeah, there's somebody from Ottawa here. Who is that? What I'm feeling deep inside, well, it's been a whole lifetime on you. So don't put me down, it's my freedom and I'm allowed. There's someone who cares about you. Without looking into my eyes, could you spend your whole lifetime as a fool? Well, I won't put you down, it's your freedom and you're allowed. There's someone who cares about you. Listen the only way. You don't have to listen to what other people say. Just trust what's in your heart, for it's the only way. And there is someone who cares about you. There is someone who cares about you. There is someone who cares about you. Thank you. So this is my album. It's called Everything. I'd love you to get it. And here's Gwen Hartlack.
I have my own.
My pink capo.
A pink capo. Nothing wrong with a pink capo. How you doing, folks? You having a good time tonight?
Yeah.
I don't know. You said there were 32 of these, but not all at the free times. I started doing them when you moved to the free times.
Yeah.
So how many years ago was that?
Probably 15. Wow. Before that, we were on Cecil Street.
Time flies. I did one on Cecil too when I remember I played with Frank Patrick. Anyway, before we play, I just wanted to well, first of all, how about a hand for Linda? And that, believe me, that CD is something else. It's getting a lot of good. It's already got a lot of good reviews. It was album of the week on the Canadian
Blues and Roots Radio.
Yeah.
And today they played it on CKCU in Carleton University and where else?
So, can we go? Can I open for you when you go on tour?
Okay.
So, listen, this is my passion. I've been doing this, I have a thing called Nashville Bound where I do songwriter things about every 2 months. And I started doing them for homeless drop-in centers, partly because a friend of mine works at one of those. He's actually this musician, Sam Sundersing. And, you know, like, the homeless shelters need a lot of support, but you know what? Where do homeless people go during the day? There's a lot of these drop-in centers that have social services and they need support. They don't get all that much money. And they provide a few meals a week, you know, some medical services, social services, and they're very, very important. One of them is I don't know if anyone's heard of one of the most famous ones is called The Park. It's in Parkdale. And I know many people that have really gotten, you know, really good, let's say that it's saved their life. And there's the one that we did in February was called Sanctuary. That one is at Yonge Street and Charles. It's on Charles Street. It's in an old church, and they do services and a couple meals a week for the homeless. And this one called the Witchwood Open Doors, right across the street from where I live. So we're doing the last benefit we raised in this small room. We raised for Sanctuary $500. And I'm hoping that we can do that again for this place called the Witchwood Open Door. And it's right across the street at St. Clair and Christie in the St. Matthew's Church. That's where it is. So this is next Sunday, May 6th. 9 musicians are donating their free time. Michael Latterud, Lynn Harrison, these are people very well known in Toronto songwriter circles. Meg Tennant, Tony Hannick, and Sam Sundersing, as I said. So anyway, next Sunday, 8 o'clock. So, sorry for the commercial, Linda. little interruption.
It's important.
And now, it really is because what I'm trying to do is get musicians into doing a lot of these benefits, you know, where we can really contribute to the community, and at the same time we get to play and we get to do what we love to do. And that's what we're doing tonight. So, we were going to do one of my songs because Linda likes to sing along with me. And I love that. Well, what a beautiful voice to have. And so this is called, it's called True Blue Forever. And my heart will always be true blue forever. Oh, baby, no words can measure the love I feel when I'm in your arms. True blue forever. Should I cry when the whole world is falling apart? I'll make it through as long as you're in my heart. Should I cry when the whole world is falling apart? I'll make it through as long as you're in my heart. Oh, baby, words all for better. Our love will always be true blue forever. True blue forever. True blue forever. We're gonna do one more, 8th Avenue, and everyone's donating their CDs for the draw, and I'm gonna donate one of mine. That song is on this CD, which is called "Once in a Blue Moon." I had to look to see what it was called. And this was sort of James Gordon has 30 albums out, but you know, he produced a lot of them in his home studio, and this is my only one, and it's sort of like that's me, that's my life's work right there, and a very handsome guy on the back cover.
It's a great CD.
So I'm going to donate this also to your
Thank you.
And we're going to do just one more, and then we're going to have Waleed come up, and he's got a guitar already back there. And this is a song that I wrote about when a place that I love to visit is Greenwich Village. So I'm an old hippie. Did anybody guess that? No, probably not. Right? I have to get home because I have some. After this, I have some Pineapple Express waiting for me. But that's a brand of the stuff that's going to be legal in a few months. So you know, the thing is that there's a lot of people whose lives were very much screwed by grass being illegal. It's very bad. And you know, really, people who can't travel, people who went to jail for this crime that didn't hurt anybody. So anyway, that's a bad thing. Besides legalizing pot, we should also put pressure on our politicians to give some kind of forgiveness to people whose lives are fucked up. So I love to go to Greenwich Village and pretend I'm an old hippie, and I go to the street. We stay near Washington Square, which is in this song. And this is going to be the title song of my next CD, which I'm working on, called 8th Avenue. And at Washington Square, there's all these great places. McDougal Street is where all the folk clubs were in the 60s. Washington Square Park is where all the demonstrations are. You know, the recent demonstration about the Me Too movement and stuff started there. They met in Washington Square. So it's a great area, and there's musicians jamming there all the time. And on Sunday night, there's the old hippie jam. All the old hippies come out with their ukuleles and their mandolins, and they jam right there in the square. So it's a great thing, and this song is kind of uses that as the setting. It's kind of like another sad love song, which is what I read a lot of, which doesn't make any sense because I've been in this a happy relationship for 30 years. But you know, it's just kind of my alter ego. So it has a nice chorus, and I've been asked to sing this song at a lot of places, in a lot of churches for some reason. And so it's a nice chorus, and it just goes 8th Avenue, and you can sing along with it. New York City on a rainy night, walking down 8th Avenue. The headlights look like ghosts to me, and it makes me think of you. And I wonder where you are tonight. Are you thinking of me too? You're the only girl I ever loved. And 8th Avenue, 8th Avenue, 8th Avenue. 8th Avenue, 8th Avenue. There's a band playing in Washington Square, right across from where we live. We shared a bed and a one-room flat. We didn't have enough love to give. And I wonder where you are tonight. Are you thinking of me too? You're the only girl I ever loved. 8th Avenue, 8th Avenue.
Thank you
And,
very
well, I'll
much.
turn it over to Elizabeth and see if she.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Glenn and Linda. Okay, so our next artist is a musician, writer, and student of math at U of T. He's from Jordan, and he comes to us tonight on the recommendation of his good friend Corey David. And please welcome Walid Maraka.
Perfect. Hi guys.
Hi.
So as you know, I'm a math student now, but I started my journey out in English and philosophy. I came to Canada in about 2009, wanted to be a writer, and sort of realized that, you know, like, even though I got the degree wasn't going to be the thing that is going to turn me into a writer. It's sort of like the lived experience. So now I'm studying math because I figured that's a source of beauty, and I figure, like, you can be a writer who appreciates math too. And to me, like, the connection is there. Even though a lot of people, when I tell them about my educational history, they say, well, those are two drastically opposed extremes. And I'd say, no, they're not. I mean, English is language, expression. Mathematics is a language unto itself that just allows us to express things in a different way. They both have structures, and there's poetry, definitely very rich poetry that's been written by the best. So right now I just want to warm up with a quick song on guitar, and the other song I'll tell you about once this one is done. You may recognize this. It was actually the opening to a big, like a hit Netflix show. So if you know the lyrics or anything, just feel free to sing along.
Soy el fuego que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal, tú el aire que respiro yo y la luz de la luna en el mar, la garganta que ansio mojar, que temo ahogar de amor. ¿Y cuáles deseos me vas a dar? Oh, dices tú, mi tesoro basta con mirarlo y tuyo será, y tuyo será.
That was the opening to Narcos. So the main feature for me tonight is actually a French song, and I'm sorry to come at you in so many languages, but as I said, it's kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of a fetish of mine. I'm from Jordan, right? But I wanted to tell you about, like, the fact why I don't really feel like I'm from Jordan. My dad and his side of the family is actually Palestinian. So being here today is, like, cool for me on a whole other level. My dad's family was based in Hebron before they were forced to leave and make their way over to Jordan. And it's a part of me that's sort of always felt guilty about having the privilege of being born a person with a nation, and in fact having two, because now I'm a Canadian as well as a Jordanian. I figured, like, you need a song of resistance sometimes. Like, despite your privilege, you have to sort of take up the chance and sort of join hands with people who don't have the same autonomy, the same agency that you do. What's funny is what I considered to be a very, like, appropriate chant considering where it comes from. See, back in 2013, I decided to take a French immersion course. So for 6 weeks in the spring, I went to a little town in the Maritimes in Nova Scotia called Church Point, or Pointe de l'Église. And this is a tiny town. I've never been in a locale so small. I was used to I've grown up in cities all my life. And this is a place where you literally have one street and its name is known to everyone. It's literally called Main Street. And if you know anything about the region, Church Point, which is on the western coast of Nova Scotia, is in the heart of the Acadia region. Yeah. It's really strange that they would teach this song. They would have us sing this song as a means of learning French. But when I looked back on the lyrics a couple of years later, you know, having become more in tune with sort of my Arab identity after I got my Canadian citizenship, I looked back on the lyrics and a real like chant of solidarity with what I imagine like Palestinians who didn't have the privilege of getting out must feel. So I can't play the song on guitar, but I was hoping to perform the a cappella rendition of the song because literally we were forced to sing this song at French camp, like at least a couple of times a week, in the cafeteria of all places. So this is Réveil by Zachary Richard.
Réveil, réveil, c'est les goddamns qui viennent brûler la récolte. Réveil, réveil, hommes acadiens, pour sauver le village. Mon grand-grand-grand-grand-père est venu de la Bretagne. Le sang de ma famille est mouillé l'Acadie. Et là les maudits viennent nous chasser comme des bêtes, détruire les saintes familles, nous jeter tous au vent. Réveil, réveil, c'est les goddamns qui viennent voler la récolte. Réveil, réveil, hommes acadiens, pour sauver le village. J'ai entendu parler de monter avec beau soleil pour prendre le fusil, battre les sacrés maudits. J'ai entendu parler d'aller en Louisiane pour trouver de la bonne paix là-bas dans la Louisiane. Réveil, réveil, c'est les goddamns qui viennent voler la récolte. Réveil, réveil, hommes acadiens, pour sauver le village, pour sauver le village. J'ai vu mon pauvre père, il était fait prisonnier, pendant que ma chère mère braillait. J'ai vu ma belle maison était mise aux flammes, et moi je suis resté orphelin, orphelin de l'Acadie. Réveil, réveil, c'est les goddamns qui viennent voler les enfants. Réveil, réveil, hommes acadiens, pour sauver le village, pour sauver le village, pour sauver le village.
Okay, comrades and friends, sisters and brothers, while we're waiting for the next artist to
Socialist hip hop,
come
Barry, come
up.
on.
Socialist hip hop. Hands up in the air.
Julius, you want to go around? We got another CD to add.
I just
the
want to
last
make
round of
this
tickets.
quick announcement. Have you enjoyed the evening? Some tremendous talent, spoken word, music, performances,
We're not finished yet.
instrumental. If you enjoyed this, if you want to know what the future of the socialist movement looks like, I hope you were listening to Corey David, because that's what it looks like. Think of what we could do if you were a member of Socialist Action. Events like this in many more places like this, across the province and across the country, campaigns not only around the municipal election coming up this October, as I mentioned in my remarks an hour or two ago, but campaigns to reunite the labor movement and to fight austerity through mass action. I appeal to you, pick up this form that you see on the tables before you. Unite, fight, stand up for workers' rights, etc. Fill this out. Join Socialist Action. Imagine, if you enjoyed this evening's program, what we can do with you as a member of Socialist Action. Fill this out. Join us tonight. Thank you.
So this is the last go for the raffle. You know, we've got Cuban rum, Jamaican spices, albums, CDs, books. So it's a whole lot of things. So buy your tickets, $2 each, 3 for $5.
Wants a ticket?
Okay, it's your last chance. Okay, so we're going to bring back on the stage now, once again, Linda, and of course also Glenn. I want Glenn to come back and sing one of my favorite song that Glenn sings. And you know Glenn has been with us for a long time, and you'll find him at demonstrations and fundraising events. He's you know, for us, for 15 years or so, he's been on the stage, behind the scenes, doing all kinds of things for us.
I'm so sorry.
And he's not very good sound man, as you can see. Just right in the middle of praising him too. Okay, so once again, welcome Glenn Ornblast to the stage, and I think Linda is going to join him for a song as well. Then we'll do the raffle. It's gone again.
Sorry. Does anybody live in the annex? Have you lived there for a long time? Do you remember the woman who lived on the street? Her name was Mary, and she was always dressed in black, and she was like 70 years old, and she was bent over at, like, you know, severe scoliosis, bent over at almost like a 45-degree angle. So because I lived in the annex on Brunswick, I became friends with her, as so many people in the neighborhood tried to help her out. And this is an old woman from Europe, you know, on the street, who was a Holocaust survivor. So she had some mental issues that didn't allow her to kind of get along with social workers who always tried to help her. But eventually, a musician that I know, whose name is Brent Titcomb, who's a great person, and everybody knows, he managed to convince her to eventually go into a home. And she died, at least in that home, and I was able to visit her once at Christmas time and play Christmas songs to her and all these other old folks that were there. And she was a very, very dear soul. She was loved by many people, and she was a character. So this is a song that I wrote about her and about homeless people. So this song, actually, I entered it in many song contests over the years, and it won about 3 of them, or at least it was a finalist. It wasn't the final winner. But it's a dear song to me, and it's a song that a lot of people know me for. Mary lives in a bus shelter at the corner of Church and Queen. She says in broken English she got nowhere else to be. She's from a town in Germany she left before the war, and Mary's only crime is being poor. Her husband was a tiller, he had to stay behind. He tried to get his parents out, Mary thinks they died. Now she spends the nights alone, freezing in the cold, and Mary's only crime is growing old. Whoa, people, is anybody free? Long as some folks have too much and some don't have anything. She carries her belongings in a broken down shopping cart. Says she ain't been well for a while. She motions to her heart. I offer her coffee and maybe $1 or $2. She says thank you dear, I don't know what else to do. Long as some folks have too much and some don't have anything. Mary lives in a bus shelter at the corner of Church and Queen. She says in broken English she got nowhere else to be. 1,000 people pass her by, 1,000 people score, and Mary's only crime is being born. And Mary's only crime is being born. And Mary's only crime is being born. Thank you. So Linda, come on up, and we're gonna do They say anything can be replaced. They say any distance is not near. Yet I remember every face of every man who sent me here. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, any way now, I shall be released.
They say every woman needs protection. They say every woman's got to fall. I swear I see my own reflection somewhere far beyond this wall.
I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, any way now, I shall be released. Now yonder stands a man in this lonely crowd, a man who swears he's not to blame. All day long I hear him shouting so loud, just crying out all you folks for coming tonight. Supporting this wonderful.